Hey y'all, it's Charlotte's Closet. It's Charlotte's Closet. Let's take in love, let's get it started. Let's step into Charlotte's Closet. Keep it safe.
I hear you. Good evening. And how are you?
I'm doing good. Today's been a good day.
I'm glad today has been a good day. For me, last work day of 2021. I don't even know the year. I don't know the day. Like,
Same.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening right now. I'm like, hide your wife, hide your kids. I think it's a time to kind of like buckle down and stay with the way Amari Khan or Marion is knocking people out left and right. We gotta, we gotta stay in and stay in. But I wanted to thank you. You know we're being recorded, so we can take get everything out, like, ready to go. Like, yes, I love the realness. Yes, because it is happy hour. But I don't like to sneak people. Oh yes. I don't even know what my husband put in here, honey, but it's a major sip. And maybe some leftover Prosecco and vodka from the Easter finale. So I don't know what it is, but it may be a sip. But
awesome.
Yes, cheers. So welcome to Charlotte's Closet. Thank you for stepping in. So Crew Love is my show. It's where I talk to different crews with different views. Like, I have my legal crew, my lawyer friends, I got my real friends, I got my media friends, I have my publishing friends, and it's the offshoot of my column that comes out every month in Intellectual Ink magazine. And we like to tell stories of triumph and amplify voices that need to be amplified and kind of get away from the struggle narrative. And everybody, we're not all the same. Like, this is not a cookie cutter thing. Like, there are different stories, I think, that need to be told. And I think that more people need to hear about the Ernest Owens of the world and like the Monique Pattersons and people that move the culture forward that you wouldn't even necessarily know, like, so many things that you're doing. Like, and I know we did the questions already, but I like to give people a visual. I want people to hear you and hear your answers in your own voice, because I can't really say like how you would say. So I had this introduction out for you. So I'm like, hi, welcome to Charlotte's Closet and Crew Love. We have Mr. President. He is the president of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists. He's an award-winning journalist. He's the CEO of Ernest Media Empire. And he has a podcast. Is it Ernestly Speaking? Yes, because I did listen. And then In Love, but that's for another part of it, because I was so in love, so here for everything. And you have so many things, like, I can just go on, like, and it just blows my mind as I was, like, just reading things and just trying to get to know what you were about, like, outside of, like, the PABJ. Like, I'm so glad that I'm a member and I was, like, welcomed and you guys were so awesome. But outside of that, like, I came to and I just watched and I'm looking at you and I'm like, this young man right here, you have... You know what you have. You know what Adam Clayton Powell calls it, the talented tenth. Like, you have it. Like, you have it. So what I wanted to know from you, like, again, what drives you? What makes you just do so many different things to make sure that our voices are heard?
Absolutely. Starters, thank you for having me on. I'm just really happy to be on and be able to be on the show. So just cheers, I guess, I've been thinking a lot about that question since you first asked me. And, for me, what drives me a lot is knowing that I have the ability to make a difference in someone else's life. It's people say things like, oh, money drives me or this drives me. But a lot of times, why do people want those things? Or why do people pursue those things? I look at them, those are items as a means to an end. Mm-hmm. So, like, as President Of PABJ, sometimes I'm like, what's driving me is fundraising. But then it's like, no, fundraising is part of it because I want to fundraise so I could be able to provide and get the organization have resources to make an impact. Or when people say, money's driving me, and it's like, is money really driving you? Or is it money so you can provide to take care of your family, your children and things? And so I don't have any children. I just got married. But I think what drives me is really the opportunity to make an impact in someone's life. So all the different work I do, whether it's professional or personal, it's really making that impact. So when I get up in the morning, I'm thinking, every day I think about what I got coming up or what interview or what meeting, whatever I'm doing is going to make an impact in someone's life. And so what drives me is the ability to be able to do that. I'm very fortunate and blessed to have been able to have a career that has allowed me a platform
Mhm.
where I can put information out there that will change policy, change minds, and change lives. And having that ability to do that is enough to get me up every day to know that there's an article that's going to come out with my name on it, a podcast. I was saying the other day on my podcast, my finale that I did this for the season one was that there has not been one week where there has not been a piece of media content that has had my name on it. Whether it's an article, whether it's a podcast episode, or something, or an article that someone's written, I have been on somebody's byline, or have had my byline for like literally the past 5 years. I can't think of one week
That you
where
did.
there's not been a piece of content of media or multiple pieces
Right.
that has had my name on it that has been out there. And so that kind of drives me to know that there are people, masses of people that are listening and consuming my content on a regular basis. And so I'm driven by the fact that I know I can inspire someone, touch someone's life, inform somebody. So that's what kind of drives me.
I love that. And I also, to piggyback, I feel like consistency also drives you because you see how you said there hasn't been like 1 week. I think that you are regimented and I think like you're cemented in your purpose. Like it takes, for me, it takes, I think it's a lot to like post every day and to do all, like that's like a whole fourth job. People get up in the morning, I get Clubhouse notifications. I'm like, they don't sleep. Like what's going on? Like no one sleeps like 6 o'clock. So that's just a
Yeah,
job in itself. And
right. And then, no, totally. And I think that for me, what I've told a lot of people that, people see the way I work or grind or hustle, whatever you call it. And I tell people that, my circumstances, I'm very fortunate on my circumstances that this is my full time work. Everything is through Ernest Media Empire, which is my company. And I'm able to produce independent media content on a regular basis.
Mhm.
A lot of my friends who are in that position of transition of, they're working a 9 to 5. They also do a lot of independent media projects on the side. And listen, it's real, for various reasons. A lot of my friends, they got kids, they got families, and the independent to take that leap early, there's some sacrifices. This was something I did from the gate. I've never worked a 9 to 5 consistently in my life. I've
Love that.
always
I love
have
that.
worked that way.
Oh,
I know. I mean, it's so weird, but I think
it's not.
about
It's not. You know what? My husband is a writer. We've been together almost 20 years. He has never worked since I've dated him. He's never had a 9 to 5. And as his career took off, I never wanted him to have it because that freedom, even though I don't have that freedom, like we all can't do that at that point.
everybody's different. Yeah, my husband, he works. He does communications, and he also has a business. He has a bartending business,
Oh,
and
wow.
he also does communications from 9 to 5. Yeah, he has a whole. It's called Bartender Berry. If you go on Instagram,
Tell me about it. What does it say it again?
it's called Bartender Berry. If you go on Instagram,
I will
Facebook,
definitely look him up.
he's a whole, like, that business is entirely, it's crazy. Like all of that. Like I think during the pandemic, just sidebar, the virtual bartending stuff that he did combined with some of the stuff we was doing, that literally paid for our wedding. It never came out of our actual like sole
Love
income
that. That's right.
at the
Hustle,
time.
baby. That's
It was,
right.
it was a
So,
thing.
listen, that's the best way.
Yeah, no, totally. So I think that what I tell people is that, at least for me, I'm able to do like all of these different aspects as a part of my whole, business model and what I do. So it doesn't feel like work as much.
When you love
And
what you do, it doesn't feel like work. When you love it, it just
right,
feels like, okay, I want to get out, as opposed to me with my 9 to 5. I'm like, okay, I'm like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. But when I'm doing the stuff that I love to do, that brings the passion, it's a whole different feeling. And it's a freedom from that. Like it's a freedom. And I think that's what money is about. I don't necessarily like I had a few dollars and I done had nothing. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. So it's, for me, it's not money, it's freedom. It's the freedom to say, I don't want to go in tomorrow, or I'm a person. I'm not just a number on a spreadsheet, and it's the freedom to not have to be quiet as the black person in the room, because I have to temper how I am. Because if I speak up for myself, if I'm speaking too loud, are they going to say I'm angry? And how many times? Because I can't take mess, I got to call it out. So I have to always water down the realness for people to understand. But we always have to let them know. So for me, it's freedom. So I want to have. I don't think money can buy happiness, but I want to find out some stuff for myself. Like, let me find out how happy, how far I could go with all of these millions of dollars. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I want to be able to uplift and inspire the community and people of like my age group, because there's an age gap between us, and you give me something that I always say, and right here you are never too old to learn, and you're never too young to teach, and that's what I get from you, because as you're spreading and you're doing stuff, you're teaching, and we have to be able to learn from each other and piggyback and see and take everything away. So that's my next thing, is like your age. I know, again, we had the question, but I know that's the drawback, because I see there's a lot of older people, there's a lot of older members, and I know that they don't want to be told nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not from that group, but they're from a different, sometimes where the communication was different, and it was like the elders, they know, and you don't tell them, and they're like, well, what do you know? And then I feel like sometimes maybe they see you, and once they see what you've done, you kind of like shock them. So how was that for you? Like, how was that?
I'm going to have to take a little sip.
Come on, sips. Let's sips, because I know they
I'm going to have a sip. I think, now at 30, I definitely have a more clearer picture and understanding of it than 5 years ago when I was involved in the organization and just in a lot of leadership.
Right.
I was 25. I was telling someone 5 years ago, I had ran for vice president of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, vice president of print. Mm-hmm. And I had lost the election by 2 votes. And a lot of people, it was a tough race. It was a very divided campaign. And a lot of people had said, oh, we don't think you're ready yet, this, that, and the third. But the agenda and the plan that I had is the agenda and plan that I currently have now.
And right,
my ideas were not different. But there is people who, project their ideas about what you should do, who you are, what you're capable of doing. 5 years ago, I had board experience in other nonprofits. I had fundraising experience. I had all of those things. But sometimes, people will pigeonhole you and put you where. I think for me, what I've learned in the process is that I don't let people shape and impact my purpose. Mm-hmm. There's just certain things that I knew was important, and I knew that the purpose of why I ran, the purpose for why I lead, is based on the impact that I know I can make and what will help make a difference. And so all the other stuff that was going on at the time, I was like, this has nothing to do with my purpose and what my focus was. And so sometimes you get caught up in it. But I always tell people can change. Mm-hmm. But the course and direction that you have and the goals you have set for yourself, you don't want them to be changing all the time, because you'll never accomplish anything that way. So I had a very clear purpose in mind that I was going to one day lead this organization. I'm shocked that it happened as soon as it did. Mm-hmm. I came in wanting to be the vice president. I thought 5 years from now I'll still be a vice president. I'm president now. I'm just finished my first year.
How long is the term?
The term is 2 years, okay. And then you can run for re-election. So I'll be up for re-election in 2022 of the fall. I am going to run for re-election, and I think that the case has been made for my leadership. I think that moving the organization through this pandemic and doing the things that I've done, I don't think anyone with common sense would question the leadership and the strength I've brought to the organization. That's right. And historic and unprecedented, record-breaking numbers I've done for membership growth, finances, everything else. So, I look forward to running for re-election in October of 2022 and winning and serving another term. So I look forward to it.
Yeah, I saw.
I'm going to speak into existence.
I see the things that you implement, even like with the grandfather program. I saw like the legacy program. Like I'm like, these are the things that move organizations forward. Like, and
Yeah.
even if people are resistant, it doesn't really matter because again, you're cemented. I think that's what I think. Just like cemented in your purpose, you know who you are, you know what you bring to the table, and it doesn't matter with anyone else because I think eventually they're gonna get on board. Like that's what it's about. And when you show, like, you know what you're capable of. So like it's like when we playing spades, if you know you got big joker, little joker, deuce, a diamond, you
That's
see it.
right. You are not a game to play.
You ain't gotta worry about it. You just gonna drop it on them when you drop it on them, and that's it. And that's the game right there. So I think that was a good question and a good answer because age is. I think people. We have to be open. I think we just make these judges about people, and just because of generation, I feel like I always say I flow through generation to generation. Like I have my nephews, they're 20 something, they're the bow generation, but I can still sit and I talk with them, and then I have my older crew, and then I have my lawyer friends. Like I think that age is what you can take. You can just take from, again, you're never too old to learn. Like this is like something that I wanted to do years ago, and now this is something that I'm doing now. So I'm just like so happy and so glad to even be having these conversations. So we talked about the PABJ presidency and how it impacted your life and what's going on and what you see in the future. And we didn't even have to ask the question because you covered it already. And when you talk about like your presidency, you just light up, like your face, everything light up. Like, yeah, I already knew, like even when I was running, like I already knew you had the vision for what it is that you wanted to do and where you wanted to go with that. And I think that you're carrying it out, especially now with like these mandates, with these vaccines and with everything that's going on, because you guys were really you really strict, and I love, that's what I love. Like I don't like lax, because if you lax with me, if you lax with this, you're going to be lax with anything. And right now,
Yeah. So did you see the email with the policy that we just dropped out?
Sure.
The policy, I didn't feel any hesitancy doing it. When we first rolled out the executive board and myself, when we rolled out the plan for the vaccine mandate in July of this year of 2021, people were like, oh, you guys are too early. You jumping the gun too early. And I said, well, I knew then that this was coming. Right. When I heard about Delta, when I heard about the variants, and I was realizing that by then a lot of people had gotten vaccinated, I was like, I need to be ahead of the trend, not a part of the trend.
Right.
And
yep.
so we let people know as early as July, we got a policy, because I wanted us to come back to having in-person meetings. I wanted us to see each other. And I know we could, because I know y'all was going out. My whole thing was, everybody's going out. People are going out to restaurants. I'm seeing people out going to the beach. So people want to go out. There was a time where people was really, in the early phases of the year, in the early, like January, February of 2021, vaccinations were still rolling out. There were people going out a little bit, but there were still folks that were like, I don't know if we want to do this in-person thing, which made sense. So even though people were still going out there, I still was like very much, no, the plan always was that we weren't going to do anything for the first half of the year. So in June, I said, okay, we got a summer break. Summer break was always July and August. And then September, we kicked off the meetings again and the event in-person stuff. But I said that by midsummer, I was going to figure out where the tide was going to turn. So when I started seeing people go out for the summer, going on vacations, people were vaccinated, and there was a small group of people started to do this whole be vaccinated thing. I said, you know what? By September, folks will start having this must be vaccinated or proof of vaccination thing. Let's go ahead and get ahead of this. Let's implement the policy now to get our members in that mindset. And so there was a little bit of a little bit hesitant to see addition. People like, well, what about this? I said, listen, I'm sorry, but we're journalists, we're people in media. We go to too many PR events. I do not want in my leadership an outbreak at a PABJ event. So I started that off very early. I said you
That's
must be fully vaccinated.
That's the best way to
You
go.
got to be fully vaccinated. We're a black led organization, and anything that we do is always going to be monitored and be scrutinized at a different level
Right. Yes. Exactly.
than
There's a different
other people.
scrutiny. Exactly. There's a different
It
level.
is. So I said
Right. Right. That's the first thing.
I didn't want any outbreaks. I didn't want any outbreaks, and so when we put this policy out, people was, for the most part, most people were like, okay, cool. And actually find that out made them happy because they were wondering if we were going to have in-person events. And there was also this hesitancy of like, okay, if they do, how are we going to know people vax? Are they going to make people vax? And we just said we're going to do it. And guess what? People came, people showed up to the meetings, people did what they needed to do. There was no outbreaks. We had a pool party, successful. We had our gala, successful. Everybody was in there. Dr. Ayla Stanford, who's really leading the cause on vaccination in the city, said that was the first event she went to without a mask because of just how organized and safe and clear we were on making sure that everyone followed protocol. There was no outbreaks. We had the holiday party 3 weeks ago. No outbreaks, no cases. We mandate that policy up and down. People was wearing their masks. People was, fully vaxxed. We had hand sanitization. We had ventilation. We had everything. And there was no outbreaks, no case. So I'm very blessed and grateful that my vision and my plan to protect members worked. We had 3 major in-person events, highly attended, highly successful, and there was no cases, no outbreaks, any problems. So now that I saw Omicron on the rise, I said, okay, here it comes. I started seeing members, this week, say, that they had gotten COVID, during the holidays and things. I'm like, okay, our meeting is technically on January 11th, 2 weeks, from that time frame. This is risky.
It don't add up. It don't add up. I don't like the numbers.
So I said, right. I said I got to suspend events for January. So there's no events in January in person, but we're going to do virtual. We're going to do all of that. And in February, because I'm saying use this time in January, everybody got to be boosted. I need booster shots now.
That's it.
So yesterday's vaccines are not today's vaccines.
Yesterday's vaccine is not today's booster.
That's right.
Yesterday's vaccine is not today's booster.
You got to get the booster.
We have to. We have to.
You got to get the booster.
Diligent. We have to be on, because I'll tell you, for me personally, I think when it first hit, I was having like a major breakdown. As soon as when it first came, I wasn't here trying to find a cure. Like because I saw what was happening, and people think like I'm like over obsessive. As I'm watching the ticker. It's small. Little virus in China, COVID, it's getting small, then it's getting bigger, then it's getting bigger. And I'm telling everyone, and I'm texting my family, mass texts in the middle of the night, like, make sure y'all do this, everybody's like, no, you're crazy. No sooner than that, 2 days later, the first case came to New York. My mom she was at Presbyterian, and when she went there, it was like outbreak. Everybody had that, then she runs home, now she's calling me, and she's like, oh my God, like everybody, and then everything just shut down. Like, it was like a ghost town. And I thought like I was going to lose my mind. Like I'm trying to figure out how to keep everyone, keep everything out. You're ordering the groceries, you're spraying them down, you're peeking out the grass. Like it was a lot, and then, they had the things that saved us, like, D-Nice and DJ Cassidy and, the Verses and, different little things and, and Netflix and the in-house movies. So those are the things that saved us. But I think right now, the only thing that can save us is, like you said, being boosted, congregating, knowing each other's status and giving time. Let this process pass out, because like you said, January 11th, the numbers don't really add up, and you don't need a breakout. And I certainly don't want to travel from Jersey, because I come from Jersey to come into meetings, like
right. No, and I just feel like it's also the beginning of the year anyway. It's like I want to see everybody at their best, boosted in February.
That's right. February's good. February is good. It's Black History Month. It's Valentine. Give everybody time. We could get time to get our self-care regimen in check, and then be new and improved. Your podcast, Ernestly Speaking. It is so earnest. It is so earnest. Earnest, which is why I confused the both because it feels like
Ernest.
yes. Er is the name, but the podcast is it like earnestly or still Ernest? Because did I
So that's the whole thing. It's a playoff of my name.
right?
So it's Ernest, Ernestly. So a lot of people think still like when it's the word earnestly, they're still thinking
Right,
of the
right.
adjective. But no, it's a play off of my name. So it's earnestly.
Got it.
So it's Ernestly
Yes.
without the A. The
No
play
A.
into the
Hell with the
podcast.
A. No A.
Yeah,
Just
it's
the
so
E.
cool.
Got so
It's
yeah.
it's a cool thing. It's so funny because like I mean I've done it so much that I get the joke, but other people are the more people listen to a catch show, they get it. It's so funny.
Right. Now
Yeah.
you get it now like us because I was like, what? Like, how did I do that? I'm like, okay, now that you gave it to me, so it's the play off your name. And how long have you had the podcast? I listened to a couple of episodes. I was listening. I was getting all the good the music tea. I was getting some tea in between. I listened to like you were talking about like the Grammys and just different stuff. So how long have you had the podcast?
Um, since the beginning of this year, like I mean, well, the end of 2020. So I got some grant money from my business, and with the resources and funding from my business, I was able to get equipment, podcasting equipment, recording equipment, and with that equipment, laptop and equipment for my business, I was able to say, well, I have the means to also do a podcast officially now.
Nice.
And I really want to do one right. You know, the thing about it is a lot of people wanted me to do a podcast for a long time. And I could have, and I knew I could, but I think it just wasn't the right time. I was like, I want to build an in-house studio.
Mm-hmm.
I record my podcast at home. It's independently produced and done. But I bought the best equipment and stuff. I'm looking over here. I got the mics, the right everything. It was like a very
Teach
I
me
need
the
all
way.
the equipment, I
Yes.
need everything. I can't half-ass this.
Right.
And we started, I started to experiment. One of my best friends made the music, the instrumental music for the theme music. And once I created my intro, my outro, that got done. Once I learned the equipment, which I am on Logic Pro through
Okay.
Apple, I use their
Those
technology.
jewels, Logic Pro, yes, drop those jewels.
Once I learned how to use the software, then I was able to independently produce, and I've been just doing it at home, and show's been a hit. It's been one of the fun things that have come out of 2021 was this podcast and the consistency of it, the audience, the people who listen to it, the enthusiasm. Like I've built a whole fan base of people who got to figure out more about me and my work through the show, and they love it. People really love this podcast. So
I listen. I can see why they love it, and I feel like we have like a lot of similar things. So this is like something I've been doing, and since just 2020, my last guest is gonna bring me to my next question was Monique Patterson of St. Martin's, and I know you're signed to them to have a book coming out from them in 2023. And the title is The Case for Cancel Culture. Is that the title? Yes, in 2023. And I just had Monique up here, and I've known Monique for many years. Like she was at my wedding, and my husband is actually signed to St. Martin's also, and he's been signed to them for like 15 years, and she's the VP over there. But his first book, one of his first books was one of her first books that she's edited in her career over there at St. Martin's. So, having these talks to people, I'm still learning. I'm still like, I don't have the software and stuff, but I see you did a party, you did your birthday party, and you did a live podcast. I did a similar situation, but I had on the mic. I was mic'd up, and I just went around with my different people. So I see that you did your birthday, and your podcast was there. You were interviewed for your birthday, right? Someone interviewed you, had your live audience, and that was so cool. I love, and you had the 3 cakes. Like yes to 3 cakes. I love 3 cakes because why not 3 cakes? Like everybody doesn't eat the same cake. Like they were all beautiful. Like I just think like the whole podcast is everybody wants one, like you said. Everybody wants to be seen and heard. But if you're gonna do it, you have to do it in a way that makes you feel right, even if it's not right for the audience. But if this is what you want to do. And like you said, you got all of the equipment. You can just jump out. And I think now, especially with everything's going on, we're going to need to be more visual. We're going to need to be more podcasty. It's going to be more, it's the return of the Zoom. It's the return of like all of these different things that we can be on the internet. But tell me about your book. I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, the book is so the case for council culture. You know, it's great work. You know, I love it. It's something that I've been really been passionate about for a long time. The whole process of writing a book, the whole process of getting to a book. One of these days, I'll tell the story of how because for me, it's just I'm just, you know, this is one of the big things that happened this year for me was in this year getting the book deal. But it was 2 years in the making. I in 2019 just really got serious in my head about wanting to write a book. Didn't have a clue who to go to, where to go to. I remember just going to a couple of these events that was about book writers and things, and I was in the mindset of like, oh, you know, what does it take to get a good book deal? And to me, I was very strict about that. I was like, I want to get a major book deal. I need to be with a major publication. I need a real deal. 6 figures is a goal.
Right.
That was a goal. You know, I want to have a team. I want a book agent. I need to know all the things.
Right.
So very quickly, I went to some events. I saw some different people there. I was hearing about what makes a potential writer author desirable to book agents. And there's various things. But as a journalist, I knew that they want to look at, you know, what makes you a little bit desirable is, you know, social media followers. If you're galvanizing an audience, you know, do you have something to say? You know, multiple networks. Long story short, they want to be able to look at you and feel like, can you sell a book?
Right.
Will people buy your book? Do you got enough networks, circles, groups that you can push a book? The book topic alone can do well, but can you with the book do numbers or build interest?
To do what they do.
And so I really focused a lot on how I was branding myself, and how I wanted to shape myself to get to that point. But I definitely knew off the jump I wanted to have a book agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I found one through PS Literary Agency, which found me. I'm networked. They saw me. They was like, yo, it clicked. It worked.
Gotcha.
Started with the same agent. My agent is Stephanie Winter.
Okay.
Who's great. And I went through the evolutions of what I wanted to write about. How did I get to the case of council culture is a story within itself. But basically, I went through various iterations of topics that was touching on council culture before I realized, oh snap, I wanted this book to be about council culture. But it was through experiences in my life and experiences through my career that I was just interested in. I wanted to write about my life or something connected to me, but I also wanted to talk about social media. And I had various drafts of a topic that just wasn't clicking. But then eventually when I got into this conversation about cancel culture, then the proposal came. Then we started to go somewhere. And next thing I know,
it
was taken off and it flew off. And the rest was history.
And now,
so I'm signed to St. Martin's.
Yeah.
The
Big Six. They
want to deal with them at McMillan's.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're the Big Six.
And book is coming out slated for January 2023. I've written it. I'm currently in the process and the swings, edits and revisions. But we got a book.
That's it. Everything else comes after this. I know that process. I know when the big manuscript come in and it's the tabs. And explain what you mean. Like I know, like again, I'm married to a writer, so I know. And he's been signed to St. Martin, just St. Publishing for like 15 years. So I know that process. But there's also freedom in that. Like books are forever. Like, that's why we do the magazine. So because it's preserving the written word, it goes back to the base of our culture, from all the way from the motherland. The word, we give life to the word, and once it's there, no one can take it away. That's something that's going to cement your legacy right there. You know, to go next to like award-winning number 70 on the Philadelphia's top 100 influential people, all the other, you know, accolades right there. That's something to go. Like your book, The Case for Cancel Culture, is definitely the title is definitely an eye catcher, and it's a conversation starter, and it's definitely it can even be the great debate. That's what I call when I have these conversations. It can be the great debate, because, you know, cancel culture, you got to watch your step now, especially now. I think that especially the millennials, you guys, honey, fearless. That's what I have to say, because I feel like the generation before, we let more stuff slide. Ain't shit sliding past y'all. If something goes out, you don't like it, this is what it's going to be, and it doesn't matter who feels what way about it. And if, you know, they push enough, they can be finished. Like, they can be canceled. And sometimes the need for cancel is there. You know what I'm saying? Like, the need is there.
Yeah, I agree. I think to a certain extent that, or at least what my book will explore, is that cancel is relative. That it's relative in the sense that what cancel means to somebody else may mean something different to someone else. And there's also just various levels and degrees. And I use a lot of examples in the book about examples where some people were canceled, some people were not. Why was that the case?
Right. So
there's different levels
out there in the cancel culture. The baby. Any thoughts on that whole situation? Like, he's canceled, he went to class, and then like he's slowly being brought back in. I think that for me, I think that the cancel, it affects their bottom line. But if that wasn't there, they would continue to do some of the things that they do to get canceled in the first place. I think the only time, especially I guess when people are like really boisterous and they have these loud opinions, and they're kind of like ignorant, depending on who's listening to them. I think that because the cancel affects their bottom line is what makes them come with the apology, or the not sincere apology, or the scripted apology, when they shouldn't have did it in the first place. Like, you know, you got to have a little more, like, you know, you have a voice. It's bigger than most. So you have to, I guess, in the words of Nippy, Whitney Houston, watch what the F you say. Like, you just have to. So thoughts on the baby, that situation?
I think that with the baby, I just feel like it's one of those things where let's sip. Yeah, it is a sip moment.
Let's sip.
The people that like him, and they're gonna rock with him.
Right.
But there's a group of people who did like him that aren't, because of what he did.
Okay.
I think that what people have to understand is that there's always going to be a trash can, a lid for every trash can. Mm-hmm. And there's always going to be that. Like, there's never anyone like Trump. Like, no one is ever completely canceled, unless you throw them in jail. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like what with R. Kelly. Mm-hmm. And so I tell people canceling is relative, right? Mm-hmm. Where to a certain extent, there are behaviors where people do push back, when others will tell people that they make it difficult for you to access them. So if you like a Lil Baby concert, whoever is pulling the strings at those concerts might say, we're not showing him anymore. So you're going to have to go through some deeper dives too. Mm-hmm. I think about, for example, Tory Lanez in the Megan Thee Stallion situation. You know, there are people that still want to believe that this man did nothing. Okay. All right, cool. They don't believe her. Fine. But there are institutions in place that's making it difficult. When Nick Cannon went on an anti-Semitic tirade, they cut everything until he got apologizing, went to some trainings, and then he had to get his act together. And then next thing you know, he kind of came back on TV.
Right. At the top of
So
everything, like
on top of everything, now you almost don't even remember that Nick Cannon was
he
in
said those.
hot water.
Whereas Kevin Hart, the situation was different because he refused to apologize. You remember in the beginning, and it
And
affected.
he did. So then he didn't go to. So then he didn't go to the Oscars.
Right.
Okay.
But I think it cooled him off some also when, because I think Nick Cannon, he realized how serious it was. He was like, let me just get my ass into these sensitivity classes because, if he wants to be on the top, because they giveth and they taketh away. Because now as soon as he did whatever they wanted him to do, he's back on where he needs to be. So it's definitely about, I guess, the institutions and the puppet masters behind that's pulling the strings. I'm not gonna hold you because I know it's happy hour and I know you are newlywed. How's that? How's that first year of marriage?
It was only been a couple of months. We got married October 16th.
Oh,
So it's been about 2.5 months.
oh, you are newlywed. You are
Mm-hmm.
newlywed. So how's that? Like you guys are just still just blissfully like just married, just loving it.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I have no complaints.
I love
I've been very happy.
that's
I've been
what it's about.
happy. And and to a certain extent, we've been together for 8 years. So, but we went to college and things, and I went to grad school and stuff. So there was things in place. But we'll be 8 years in February. But the good thing about everything is that we definitely know each other. So once we got married, it was not like this. We're learning new things about each other. Not really. We kind of already been. It's like more like legalized.
Right, just put the ring on it and just stamped it up and locked it down legally because it was already like in the place. I think that's awesome. Well, congratulations, 2 months in, and I wish you guys all the happiness. Marriage is just about reciprocity. Everything, every relationship, everything is just about reciprocity. That's
Thank
give
you.
and take. So congratulations and all of that good stuff. Your wedding looked beautiful. I had to do a little peeky peek. I saw your pictures. I said, oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. And you have gorgeous pictures. And it looks like you did it for your birthday, like your wedding was at the same time or right around.
My birthday was October 12th, and then my wedding was on the 16th.
Oh.
And so the way it worked is that my wedding anniversary is going to be 4 days after my birthday, and our relationship anniversary is 4 days before his birthday. No. His birthday is on February 17th, and our relationship anniversary is the day before Valentine's Day, February 13th.
That's February 17th. That's my daughter's birthday, February 17th. The 17th is a good number. It's a good number. And February is a good month. So before we go, I gotta talk to you about the lovely photos you sent. I saw you with Oprah Winfrey, and you were just this smile. She was smiling, you were smiling, and I know that moment had to be like just a bottle of up, like put it in my memory, put it in my back pocket, so when days get rough, you can just relive that memory. Like take us to those who have not had the pleasure of even standing in the same room as Madam Winfrey. Take me there.
She is as a boost of life and energy and very just as big of a deal as you would imagine it is. She's very self-aware of that. Mm-hmm. And I think she's so nice. I mean, she's very nice. I just think she's very nice.
That's nowhere near that status. That can be just as nasty.
Yeah, she was very nice. She was not at all a diva or, I've interviewed many Hollywood folks. I've been in rooms with some people, and they don't even come nowhere near the level of prestige that Oprah has had. But they don't even have had the same level of grace or common decency as she do. I think it's interesting. I've seen some of the newer artists or people I've met over the years. I remember back in 2014 when August Alsina wasn't in an entanglement. Mm-hmm. He was very when I met him, he was very much so big old entourage, like very into his head, young, done with fame, and didn't know what to do with it. Like very much like that. But then I think of someone like Oprah, who very much so is very intentional on trying to be nice to everybody,
Right.
and be cool and be sweet. And she was very much so, and very very intentional in remembering names and faces and things. So I really did like her a lot. I have nothing.
I
Nothing
love
to
that.
say. Right.
We're not gonna ask about the VP. We're not gonna ask. We're just gonna sit. We're gonna say that was work, and that's it. We're not gonna ask about Kamala. We're not gonna ask. So
I mean, all I would say is that I'm just happy she has a new communications team. I definitely think she needs some new people around her to help her get out her message and establish her identity in the White House outside of just being alongside of the Biden administration.
Right.
Because, she's the vice president. I mean, she could be next in line. She needs to start to galvanize her own team and people around her that will push for her and root for her, but also, give her opportunity to talk and do her thing.
Right. Well, I guess I hope that would be something that she can move forward, and because right now we don't know what's going on with anything. Like everything, I feel like everything is just like a clusterfuck. I feel like a Maricon is raining from the sky, and everybody is just like we're in this frenzy. And I hope that I was glad to see her as the vice president. A woman of color. I was glad to see her there. And it's everything is going to come. Everything's going to be a double-edged sword. But I'm still glad that there are people like her to be interviewed, and then there are people like you to do the interview, because that shows that the ancestors and everyone, that the job is being done. Like we are still, these are again stories of triumph, not just struggle stories. Like you're gonna be a professor, right? You're teaching. You're gonna be teaching soon.
Yeah, Cheney University. I'm a professor there. I'm teaching right now print journalism, and I'm excited about it. It's a required course, which is awesome because I know I'm gonna have a bunch of kids who need to take my class to pass and move on through the major. I'm working with a lot of freshmen and underclassmen, so that's kind of good because they come in hungry. Once you get senioritis kick in. I know I was a senior. They a little over it, but the freshmen, they really come in like, there's opportunity. And so what's important about this journalism class is that this is a course that is a prerequisite for the major. And so it has the ability to make an impression. If I don't teach this class good, or these kids don't walk away enthusiastic, they may not declare the major. So, in many ways, I take it seriously. The major is in my hands.
Got it.
So that's important to me. I want as many people to major, especially a lot of Black students, to major in journalism. So, yeah.
So are you gonna have them call you Professor Owens? Like, are you gonna be Professor?
I think so because I don't want people to get comfortable.
Right.
I'm not too far from a lot of ages. I know a lot of them are coming in. Well, what's weird is that my brother is 18. He's a freshman right now at Temple. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm basically teaching kids who are like basically I could be teaching my brother in the class right now. But I'm choosing to go to Cheney versus Temple because that just be too much.
It's too much. It's too close. Everything is
too close. Yeah, like I was like, I'm in Cheney, Pennsylvania. I'm not even in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
I had to teach outside here.
Your brother be in your class. Your brother be in your class.
Too much.
That's a little too close.
And it's also, like I said, it's also interesting because, I may teach electives down the road. Some of these people will be 22, 21, and I'm 30, 31. It's like I'm not too far from them in a way that I'm not dumb. Like the way that they
could try, right? Whatever they could try with you, you try. Like it's like what our parents used to say. What you did, I done did it before. They think they have newer ways to be slick, but we're slicker, and they're gonna try. That.
Oh yeah,
everybody's gonna try, and then you got to be like, I know all those moves. Like take this paper, take this information, and go back. But I really, really am so glad to have this conversation and just to get all of these jewels and this triumph and tell us about your company and all your socials, like where we could find you. And you do consulting, right? Ernest Media Group does consulting.
Yeah, Ernest Media Empire. Yeah, Ernest Media Empire LLC is a media production consulting communications company.
Mm-hmm.
So, I do media production, writing, that type of stuff, interviews, all of that. But I also do communications, public speaking events, consulting, for clients who need media expertise and things of that nature. I'm a one-stop shop.
Yeah, I
So
love that though. That's what it's supposed to be. Nobody has time. I think, like especially now, time is a commodity that we can't really afford to waste. So it's good to be able to go one place and pick up this, that, and the third. That's ideal for me as far as like shopping and anything. Like it's ideal to have everything in one place. Your socials. I know you have your Instagram and your Twitter.
yes, everything's at Mr. Ernest Owens at gmail.com.
Okay, so everything's at mrernest@gmail.com. Thank you. I want to take my last sip. I want to thank you for stepping in the closet and talking to the crew. We have our cheers. And thank you, Mr. President, for having a good happy hour wind down. I just like for people to hear answers in your own voice. I don't feel like just printing it would do it justice. I feel like people need to see you and see like, oh, he looks like me. He's my age. Because we have to have that type of recognition. And again, you heard it from me, like you are never too old to learn, because I'm still learning and I'm here to be under this organization. I will be watching. I will be waiting for February. I will be voting. I will be hitting my husband like, I want a legacy membership. Make me a legacy. Make me a legacy. I will definitely be a part of everything you guys have going on. I'm looking forward to just seeing your work, waiting for the book. I'm gonna give me a sneak peek of that the case for cancel culture when it come out, because I got a little pull over there. I can go ahead and give me a little sneak peek of that case of cancel culture whenever you drop it out when the galleys come. But I'm definitely interested and just glad that we had this conversation, and thank you for sharing and just coming in and just being a part of this crew. And we say cheers, good night. Watch out for Amaricon. And I'm staying.
Yes.
I'm staying in the house. My New Year's will be Zoom. I'm thinking right now how I'm gonna Zoom my family and why them, because New Year's will be a Zoom situation. There will be no balls.
I mean, it's at home. I'm chilling at home. I'm not
they
even.
when and waiting to exhale. Girl, I could be watching Dick Clark. I'm about to be Bernadine right in here watching Dick Clark, because I don't have time to be out with no horses and people and no masks and breathing and drunk and crazy. Well, I could just stay in my house, drink as much as I want to drink, be safe, and live to see another day and don't have to worry about it. And I'll see you on the Zoom, and thank you. And your executive board, I just want to just shout them out. I want to shout out Teresa. She is so awesome. Like from the very beginning, like last year when I was, putting my application in and stuff like that. Like I just really want to shout out your board and everything you guys did. I've attended 2 events this year for you guys and blown out the water. I have not seen anything more organized, more elegant, and just more worthy of all the Black excellence. So just keep being excellent. And I got my good eye on you and this organization. And I will see you on the PABJ Zoom. And take care.
Thank you. I can't wait.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.
Good night. Take care.
Let me see. Let me end it. Okay, good. Okay, great. I'm such a Black. Okay, let me end the meeting.